Hello everybody and welcome. This is going to be my initial impressions of this Seiko SBDC053. It's in their Prospect line. It's one of their divers, rated to 200 meters. Now, I've been a fan of Seiko for a year or two, and my first watch is kind of a pilot style field aviation watch, and I really love it. But I've always had my eye on a diver. The idea of being able to bring it into a swimming pool and not have to worry about it, that's very appealing to me. Every time I look at their website to see what type of models they have available, unless if you're willing to pay thousands, and I mean thousands, multiple, you're going to get a hard lux crystal. And I think one of the reasons that a lot of people get these entry-level divers and mod them is to get rid of that hard lux crystal. I'm not really into the idea of modifying a watch, at least not at this point in my life. So I've been on the lookout to see if they ever released one with a sapphire crystal. And here it is. This is one of their first offerings in the diver line with a sapphire crystal that's under $1,000. How do you think it looks? It's interesting. Technically, this is a phenomenal watch for the price. Rated to 200 meters, it's in their diver's line, so they have no hesitation about you actually diving with it. Beautiful bezel, cool little sunburst style, beautiful lume. Came on a rubber strap. Look at that polishing. Oh, it's beautiful, right? Sapphire crystal, domed sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating on the inside. You know, this is for Seiko, one of their cheapest offerings, with a domed sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating on it. I got this from SeiyaJapan. It was, I'd say, about early October 2017, and I paid about $678 for it. And they've been regularly selling out. I think as of today, they're still out of stock. But for these features, that's relatively cheap for Seiko. It has, I believe, an aluminum bezel, but boy, does it look like glossy ceramic. They did an amazing job at making that look like gloss ceramic. Look at that. It's got a dark blue tint to it. Looks like it has printed on numbers and dots. I don't really feel it. And it's got a little triangle at the top with a little bit of lume as an insert. Feeling it, it feels like a coin on the outside edges. It's plenty big enough to get a grip on it. You can hear it click. 120 clicks. Unidirectional bezel. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm pretty new to watches, so I don't have much to compare this to. And in fact, I have no divers to compare this to. This is my first diver watch. So I don't know how this compares to others, but in my personal opinion, the bezel is a little bit tough to move. You got to put some effort behind it. And it doesn't really feel like real clicks. I mean, I feel the clicks, but they don't feel like real detents. It kind of feels smooth with a lot of resistance. It's interesting. Now, some people have said that their bezels don't line up with the chapter rings and the markers. Mine lines up perfectly. There is a tiny bit of, once you go past the click, you can go back to the tiniest bit. I don't know if you can even see that. I'll try it again. So right there's click, and then I can go back. That's it, the tiniest bit. Pretty good, pretty decent. It's definitely not really sloppy. And it lines up perfectly. Right there. It's a blue dial with a nice sunburst effect each light source creates its own sunburst effect, so at sometimes you can get multiple. It's very nice. You know, Seiko can do a real nice job with this. One thing I noticed, and I'm a little bit surprised with this, it's not a really metallic sunburst. If you look at it, you can see the dial has this texture to it. It's almost like a diffuse reflection. Not really a metallic, and that's a little bit weird for me. I wasn't quite crazy about that. Here you can see that anti-reflective coating in action. It's on the underside, inside the crystal. So what that means is the first layer will reflect normal light like normal. So there is no anti-reflective coating on the top. So right there you can see the white lights, and they're fully white. But then once that goes through, hits the bezel, sorry, not the bezel, hits the dial, and then reflects back out through the crystal, that's where you get the anti-reflective coating. You can see it's blue now. It's not pure white. And this works. Unless if you point it directly at a light, at any other really angles, it's clear. I mean, this is noticeable. It reduces glare a lot. Unless if you're pointing it straight at a light source. It makes a big deal. I mean, a big difference. That's one of the reasons you're going to pay more for a watch like this. You're stepping up to get that anti-reflective coating, and it's worth it. My first watch didn't have it, and I think it's a beautiful watch. If it just had AR coating, whoa. But this one does have it. You have Seiko, the Seiko logo, and then the Prospect logo, automatic, in a bold font kind of, or capitals, and then Divers 200 meter. None of this is reflective. It's like it's printed on. Then you have the hour markers that have huge amounts of lume, and they are framed in very high polished metal. Very high polished. At the right angles, it just reflects back huge amounts of light. There you can see some of it. At times it's kind of weird looking to see so much reflecting off of it. Very strange. But then you have a date window. It has white printing around it, and this is not reflective. So where's the symmetry? Not here. And in fact, the actual numbers are black, and they're against a white background, which, if I was designing this watch, I think I would have put it as a black background with white numbers. I think it would have matched a little bit better. That would have been my preference. Around the outside, you have a chapter ring that just has minute divisions, or second divisions. No finer divisions. Here it says Japan, movement 6R15. Then some other writing. And not only is the sapphire domed, so if I look at it edgewise, you can actually see a curvature to it. Not only is it domed, but it's also raised a tiny bit. So it's got, see that little lip? And that's around the whole edge. And it gives it another interesting effect. You can see it right here. See how it's creating this lens effect? It's distorting it. So it's a little step up. It's pretty interesting. You know, Seiko does a real nice job with their sapphire crystals. Here's a close-up look of the side. It's a thick watch, but boy, it's got a beautifully curved shape to it. It's like the whole thing is curved. And this helps with the comfort. Everything is rounded, everything is curved. The strap does a great job of making this watch comfortable. It's a chunky watch. I weighed this in at about 123.6 grams. And, you know, it's bigger than my first watch, my Sarge. This, including the strap, is about 85.1 grams. This is 123.6, including the strap. So it's a little bit bigger, definitely thicker, and chunkier. The strap does a great job of managing the weight, but it's borderline. I would definitely not go bigger or heavier. I'll tell you that. It's been keeping pretty good time. It's pretty much consistently 6 seconds fast every day. Some days I've worn it, other days it's just been on my nightstand, but I wind it up every day if I don't use it. So 6 seconds fast, that's straight from the Seiko factory. So if you opened it up and slowed it down a tiny bit, you know, it might be consistently better than 6 seconds. So that's pretty impressive. As others have reported, the bigger deviations in accuracy come when the watch gets lower in its power reserve. Keep it wound up, use it day to day, or every night just wind it up 40 or 50 times. Yeah, it keeps good time. And so does my other Seiko. Same movement, 6R15. They're very nice mechanical entry-level movements. They beat at around 21,000 beats per hour. You can see a little bit of judder with the second hand, but it's still nice to have a real mechanical movement. Some of the other nice features about this watch is it has drilled lug holes to make it easy to change the strap. That's pretty nice. You don't see that too often on these Seiko watches. So that's a nice feature. Although, to be honest, I wouldn't plan on changing this strap for a long time. It's so comfortable. Just going to leave it on. The strap, well, let's see, right there. Yes, it's coming in at about 20 millimeters. Now this is an interesting case. It's flat. It doesn't curve to, you know, like the bezel. And so if you want to change this out with other straps, you're going to have to find straight ends, nothing that curves. But this strap perfectly fits it. If you look at the, you know, the shape of the case lugs, it just kind of molds right into the rubber strap. Same thing down here. Nice right there. They did a good job with that. Other dimensions. The case size, it's coming in at roughly 43 millimeters on my dial. So that's pretty big. Lug to lug. It's coming in right around 50 millimeters, give or take. And the thickness, this being a domed crystal, let's go for the thickest part, which is the center. Right around 14 millimeters. Yep, right around 14. And just confirm that the calipers are zeroed properly. Yep, roughly zeroed. So, you know, it's not an outrageously big watch, but it's big. A lot of people are worried that this is too big for them. I'm a big guy. I'm a very big guy. 6 feet tall, heavy. And let me put this on my wrist one more time just to show it to you. This is how it wears on my wrist. The case is very nicely curved. For me, the lugs do not go over my arm. I mean, I still have a lot of nice space. The strap comes down nicely, hugs. There's not a whole lot of gap here. It just feels continuous. Same thing on this side, it just feels continuous. And with this rubber strap that has a little bit of give to it, tighten it down just a tiny bit, and insanely comfortable. For me, the size is good. If you have skinny wrists, maybe 6 inches, yeah, this might be big. Might be a little bit too big. But that's something you'll have to decide on. For me, I think it's the appropriate size. I don't think I would go much bigger though. Not so much for the size, but maybe for the weight. You feel this? Like I said, I feel it. All of the weight's pretty much concentrated right here, and because it's pretty high up, you feel it. I think in my ideal world, I'd like it a little bit lighter and maybe a little bit thinner. This is about 13.5, 14 millimeters thick. It's a chunky little watch. And if you have a tight shirt on, long sleeve, that might be a little bit hard to fit under it. The hands. You have the min hand, which is nice and long, goes all the way out to the ring. Nice and long and slit and slender. Second hand is very thin, just long and metallic, and on the opposite end it has a counterbalance of Lume. Seiko does that very often, whereas a lot of other watch companies will put the Lume at the actual second hand position. Seiko likes to do it opposite, so. And then a massive hour hand. Check that guy out. And again, these two hands are all framed in high polished metal. Very reflective. You can see it all reflecting. The case itself. Well, at the top, it's nice and brushed. All the way around the lugs, nice and brushed. When we go to the side, right here, we have high polished. And then it transitions smoothly into a matte finish, kind of like a brushed. But boy, I'll be honest, I don't see any brush lines. It's crazy. And then above that, a little edge of high polish right there. And these are kind of smooth transitions. It's amazing how they did it. These guys are great at polishing their cases. The underside, still beautiful. The lugs are all high polished. And then around the case back, more high polished. And then here, this is definitely brushed now. We can definitely see that brushed. Some of the writing, Seiko, air divers, 200 meter. I don't know what they mean by air divers. I guess to distinguish it from helium diving? I don't know. They do say do not use this with helium, so maybe they're making that distinction. Boy, it reflects light. I'm trying my best to get it for you guys. Made in Japan, heck yeah. 6R15-03W0. Then an A0 in a box. Serial number, part of the prospect line. Stainless steel, sapphire crystal, and this beautiful tsunami logo. You know, it's really nice. Coming around to this side, pretty much a mirror image of the other side. You have high polished with a matte line up top, and then above that another little bit of high polished. The crown is very smooth, very high polished. They didn't sign this one, and that's okay by me. It's so smooth. It is a screw down crown, which helps with the water resistance. Again, I have nothing to compare it to, but when I got this out of the box, boy was I surprised. It was rough, gritty, stiff. Okay, crown's popped out. Wind it. Feels like my other 6R15 movement once the crown is unscrewed. Very smooth. Very easy to wind. And then you can screw it back in. You got to push it in. And I've noticed with this, I have to keep pushing in as I turn. If I don't, it's extremely hard, very resistive. And there I go. All screwed in. As with other Seikos, the first position after you unscrew it is to wind it. Then the next position come on, you can do it, right there, is to change the date. Very easy to set the date. And then the next position is to set the time. And you'll see that it is hackable and very smooth. These movements are so easy to precisely set the time. You can get right in, push it in. Very nice. The only one little complaint I have is, you know, screwing it in, it's rough. It has been getting better with use. And I found out that if you push it in as you're screwing it in, it helps a lot. But, you know, it's not the smoothest thing. But it works. Helps with water resistance. It came on a rubber band, and I'm just smiling ear to ear. This strap, I should say, is amazing. The strap alone, I'd pay $100 for. It's beautiful. You have a Seiko logo. Again, they're showing off with their nice brushed work. The buckle is so smooth. Signed Seiko. Nice and shaped. Beautiful. I've never had a quality rubber strap. I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was going to be stiff and rough. This is smooth. Smoother than a baby's behind. It's unbelievable. I like a leather strap. To me, they're extremely comfortable. This is as good as a leather strap. Let me put it on my wrist. The strap is nice. It has a lot of holes, pretty tightly spaced, so it's easy to get the right setting. Find the right setting. Move this little clasp. The nice thing about the clasp is it catches and it holds that rubber strap right nice and tight against your wrist. So there's really nothing sticking out. You can even go further if you want. And it's really good. It's got these little, I don't even know what you would call them, little ridges. And the whole strap has a little bit of a spring to it, a little bit of a stretch. And it feels excellent. It never really feels too tight. And this is a heavy watch. At least for me, it's a heavy watch, where all the weight, for the most part, is at the case. And if I strap this down good, you know, just wearing it day to day, I don't even feel I have it on. This strap is amazing. I cannot stress that enough. Don't hesitate to get this strap. I know the other one, the SBDC051, is the black dial, and it comes with a stainless steel strap. You know, I don't think you're giving up anything by getting this rubber. It is amazingly comfortable. Maybe not the most beautiful, but boy is it functional. It's a big strap. I mean, look at, I got a big hand, and look at how much adjustment I have left. So you could definitely use this with a wetsuit. Again, tying in with that diver's theme. Really nice. Easy to take off. It's so butter smooth. Wow. I love leather straps, guys, but, you know, this has made me a real believer in these rubber straps. They're amazing. I've been wearing my Sarge for about a year. And I mean, this is my daily wearer. I have nothing else I wear. So that's a year of use, and I don't clean the strap. So it does a very good job of staying clean, not really collecting parts of skin or anything. But now, this, the diver with the rubber strap, I've only worn this for maybe about 4 days. Some days I have not worn it. And you can see stuff is already collecting here. I don't use lotions, I don't use sunscreen, so, you know, this is body oil or skin, I don't know. The rubber strap has a little texture to it, you can see it there. And it It just means that it's going to look dirty on the inside. It's going to collect stuff. I don't know how hard it is to clean that out. Maybe you have to go in with a toothbrush, but you know, keep in mind, on the outside, you're not going to notice it. At least I don't notice it right now. It still looks clean on the outside, but inside, yeah, gonna have to clean that up somehow. But boy, is it smooth. That is so smooth. Oh, I love this strap. One of the reasons this watch is more expensive than some of the other Seiko divers is it includes Seiko's Diashield coating to the case. This is a coating that increases the hardness of the stainless steel by about 2 to 3 times in an effort to help reduce scratches. It helps your watch look new longer. Now, I have heard from people that have had watches with and without this Diashield coating, and they attest that it does actually work. The watches with the Diashield resist scratches quite a bit more than regular stainless steel. And if you actually had the 051, I believe the bracelet itself is also Diashield coated. Now, I don't know what material Seiko used for the bezel insert. I don't think it's ceramic. Nobody says it's ceramic. So it's probably some sort of metal that they put this nice high gloss polish of some sort over it. I don't know if it's stainless steel or aluminum or what. And I also don't know if it has Seiko's Diashield coating. If it does, that would be nice. It might actually help resist scratches. Kind of the concept behind ceramic. Of course, ceramic is better, being a harder material. But definitely the case has a Diashield coating. Another thing to look at is the crown. If I unscrew it again, okay, it doesn't feel really flimsy when it's unscrewed. And if I turn it around, we can actually take a look at it. It's actually got a pretty thick screw to it. And if I try and wiggle it, there's not much play. I'm actually moving the watch. Hold on, let me try this. There's not much play to it. And again, this lends to the whole feeling of the watch feeling quality, well built, strong, sturdy, like it's going to last a long time. That doesn't feel flimsy. Of course, I'm sure Seiko recommends that when you are not using the crown, you screw it back in to help prevent damage to it. And I would agree with that. Also to help maintain its water resistance qualities. What do I like about this watch? I like all the technical aspects. Dome sapphire crystal, anti-reflective coating, screw down crown, sunburst effect on the dial, beautiful lume, water resistant to about 200 meters, so definitely able to swim with it. Extremely soft rubber strap, beautiful casework, dome crystal if I didn't already say it, and a nice reliable movement. They are 6R15. Good power reserve. You know, boy, technically it's a wonderful watch. For the price, about $680 shipped to you from SeiyaJapan. Wow. Okay, but there are a few things that bother me with the design of the watch, and I'd like to mention them now. I already mentioned the date. It being white doesn't quite match with the other hour markers. I wish it was a black with a white number. I would have liked to have seen them do that high polish metal effect that you get with the other hour markers around the date. That would have helped tie it in a little bit better. I wish the Seiko and all of this text was either metallic or some of it was applied. Being printed, it kind of looks a little cheap, if I say so myself. Other things that I don't quite like, if we look closely, and I mean we got to really look closely. For example, the minute hand, long, slender, metallic, great lume. But then look on the back of it. It's this big black thing. And it's matte black. Everything else with this watch is glossy, for the most part. It reflects. But then you got this matte black. It doesn't look like it fits. And to me, matte black, it just looks really cheap. Every time I look at it, I see that, and I can't unsee it. Even if it's at a distance, I look at it, I still see it. It's matte. If they did it glossy, that would have been nice. A nice, glossy, black metallic. But they went with matte. Why, Seiko? Why? I just don't like it. I just don't like it. I don't know how well this is coming through on the video, but it's in terms of depth, from the crystal to the actual hour markers and the dial, there's a lot of space. And it looks weird to me. If I bring in my other watch, the Sarge, this is very flat. It has a three-dimensionality, but you have numbers, you have no chapter ring, and the distance from the markers and the hands to the sapphire, it's not much. It's very flat. I like that a lot. But then tie this in, and it's got a huge distance between those markers and the top of the glass. And, you know, it's part of being a diver. I'm sure they had to use a very thick sapphire crystal. And so I know it's what they had to do, but it just, it's not my style. From a distance, it kind of looks good, but when I look at it, it just looks weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm not used to having a diver watch. But I don't think it's quite my preference. The other thing that I don't quite like is, again, the dial is a matte. It has a beautiful sunburst effect, but it's not metallic dial. It's very matte. It's got like a texture to it. It looks like a diffuse reflection. What I mean by that is there's lots of tiny little bumps. And it's just weird. There, you can see it right there. It's very bumpy. Doesn't look like really metal. It looks like almost plastic texture to it. And I know it's metal. They purposely did a texture to it, and I just don't like it. I wish it was really shiny metal. Those are some of the things I don't like. Another thing I'm not that crazy about, and I'm nitpicking here, is the minute hand is very flat. It's horizontal. But if I look at the hour hand, and now this is very hard to show on the watch, on the camera, but the hour hand actually has a little curvature down. It dips down. And I don't know if it's supposed to do that, but it looks like the hand is actually bent down a tiny bit, and I don't know, it's weird. All these little things. The high polished around the lume, I don't know if I quite like it. I really wanted to like this watch a lot. Technically, it's everything I wanted. But when I got it and I looked at it, I was like, oh, it didn't blow me away. It didn't wow me. And this is, you know, this is as comfortable as they come, guys. Put this on. It's a very chunky case. It's a lot of steel. You'll feel it. I mean, I feel it right now. It's chunky. But thankfully with the rubber strap, that keeps it lighter. And when you cinch down that strap, it feels great. Check it out. Everything is so smooth and curved. There are no hard edges that you feel when it's on the wrist. No hard edges. It's all smooth. It's a phenomenally comfortable watch. I don't think anybody will complain if you get it on the rubber strap. It's just so comfortable. If you like the way this watch looks, I think you're going to love it. I'd like to show you the Lume on this. The Lume is phenomenal. Best I've ever seen. I thought my other Seiko was good, and it is. But this beats it. This just collects more light. It lasts longer. It's brighter. Now, I don't know if it's because this watch is a couple years old, or if it's a different style of Lume, but this diver is just so much better. So much nicer. Let me show it to you. Here is the Lume of the two watches. I charged them out the same amount. The diver, of course, is on the right. Can you see how much brighter that is compared to this Sarge? I mean, this is a nice watch, but check that out. So this is phenomenal, guys. The little dot on the dive bezel is very easy to see. Seiko does a strange thing where they have a counterbalance of Lume. So if you really wanted to be precise in the dark, you'd have to find that little dot and then go 30 seconds ahead of it. But besides that, you know, it's extremely easy to read. You got the double markers for the 12 o'clock. And then the 9 and 6 o'clock are thicker than the other ones. The other ones have a little bit of a wedge shape. Best Lume I have ever experienced. I mean, my other watch is good. This one, charge it up at night, 7-8 hours, it's still going good. If the room is still dark, you can still easily see it. So there you have it, guys. A new offering from Seiko. I say, technically, it's an amazing watch. Excellent strap, great features. If you like the way this looks, don't even hesitate. Get one. If you guys have any questions about this watch that I might be able to help answer, put them in the comments and I'll do my absolute best to get back to you and hopefully help.